Okay, this is date on what I've been doing, and I'm not going to be saying much, but here's what I was talking about. A few of you have asked to see my progress with what I'm doing here, and I just wanted to show you this. That's 110 volt LED. Um, what do they call it? Halogen lamp, light um, light bulb, and it's not real bright, but it turns on. And then this is all coming from the that's coming from the antenna, and this is coming from the ground. And I'm using a little dual feed and have a transistor on there, tip 41 on this, and that seems to be working okay. And that's just coming from the ground on the voltage multiplier, and goes up to the antenna. And this is what I jokingly call the arc reactor, but it pretty much about the closest thing I think of an arc of an arc reactor. Um, as you can see, you can't really see the, but the arc is actually spinning around in there, around the coils. And this is the other joke, the flux capacitor, and this works a lot like a hairpin circuit. It's actually a capacitor that's inducting onto the tubes, and then it comes on over to the these are coils used on speakers, and it's tuned to like 20 kilohertz, because that's about the range of the of that's coming from the plasma ball. That's actually called the arc reactor because I did put the coils on it. And this is all stuff that Nikola Tesla was working on. And as I said before, the plasma ball is very close to a Tesla coil, but inside a almost like a in a bulb, pretty much in a glass bowl, what do you call it, glass tube, a round glass tube with a xenon or some kind of noble gas in it that basically shoots an arc uh, onto the glass, which works like almost like a capacitor, and it's an inducting capacitor. And that's the accelerator. And these, what I did is I used two Crofton Walton, uh, basically it's two Crofton Walton um, voltage multipliers, and they're inverted, they're opposite to each other in the direction that they go, with an antenna doubler in the midst, connected to them, and with the charged capacitors, electrolytic capacitors. They're each 450 volts. Um, and basically what I'm doing there, this is what creates the potential that basically amplifies the signal to the antenna to be, and then draws the energy from the ground. Um, Once the antenna is up in the air, it will um, produce higher voltages. Um, Here is the sine wave that I'm getting right now from the device, and that is coming from right there, from that antenna, and that's the sine wave of the frequency of the picked up by the antenna. Okay, and now I'm going to show you something. See, this is all coming from the USB. And so when I pull this USB out, the whole thing turns off, as you can see. Because everything here is running off the USB. I have about 200 volts coming from here on the high end onto this. And this is the only thing in the whole device that could probably kill you. That's where the high voltage is. And I've done some experiments on every side of this thing to see how to draw energy from different sides of it. I'm going to plug it back in. Okay, here we go. Adjust it. And turn off the lights here and we can take a closer look at this. The tubes are there for show. They just give me a little more light on my experiment. I don't really need those tubes for this to work. It's just there. It's just light. I just want to see how much stuff I can light with this thing. You know, it's only 5 volts and 300 milliamps. So that's very little energy in usage. And the whole idea is eventually I'll run the plasma ball off the device with some pretty much self-running. And once I got the antenna up, of course, I'm not saying that I'm pulling out when I'm putting in. I'm just saying that I'm pumping energy. So I'm just basically creating a large potential, like a hydraulic system, where I create a high potential, a high voltage potential. And this is not depleted. It stays the same all the time. What it does is it draws continuous energy from the ground, and the differential of, if you set something up high into the air, it's going to be ionized positive, and if the stuff on the ground is going to be negative. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm creating fluctuations to be able to pump that energy. And it's crazy, but I've gotten some good results. If you've seen some of my earlier videos, I hadn't even come this far, and I did charge some super capacitors. I called it a battery in the video. I was thinking battery, but it wasn't a battery. Those were super capacitors, and I was charging them at the same time I was running the plasma ball from the device itself. So it wasn't connected to any kind of outside source but itself, and it was just running a loop. So, and the reason the capacitors were charging was because of the antenna being up in the air, and it was about maybe 35-40 feet up in the air, and then the ground was all the way down into the ground, into almost the groundwater. So basically that's the old test on it. And the only problem I'm having with that is that it started to corrode. When I had it up, it started to create corrosion on the bottom. If you could see my earlier videos, it was nice and shiny, and it got like this corrosion, like batteries. Even though it's like a stainless steel plate, it ended up creating corrosion on the connections, almost like a there's a name for this, and I can't think of it right now. When I'm doing these videos, I can't bring words to my mouth sometimes. When you put two different types of metals together, sometimes different types of metals together, they create what do they call that? I used to say that so many times. Metal coupling or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it basically corrodes. The metals begin to corrode each other. They react. and it looked something like that, but it looked more like the corrosion you get like on a battery terminal. And that was pretty much what was going on. The electrical charges were basically causing the metal to react with each other, and they created corrosion on my plate. So I have to go in there and clean it off and redo the plate, and then put it before I put it back up. Anyways, that's more or less my what I've been doing. I haven't done any more videos because I wanted to finish this thing and have it completely working before I ever, and I'm still experimenting. I mean, I want to do this and I want to do this right. And it's kind of hard for me to do it on a video. I don't plan this. I'm only doing this because I commented on a few other videos and people have asked they want to see it. So this is what I've done. And there it is. All right, that's all for now. And thanks for watching, folks.